Pecha Kucha 51, Rick and Morty, Ricklantis episode. So, Rick and Morty's awesome, and everybody knows. I didn't really want to talk about it, but this one episode, there's so much stuff in it that's worthy of mentioning. I'm only going to talk about some of it. And I was going to talk about other things this week, but that's not happening, so let's get on with it. So, when I googled the episode, YouTube sent me to the wrong episode, except it was the right one, because it's the episode that introduces who Evil Morty is in the first place. A Morty's so dangerous, he's not just a Morty among Mortys, he's more dangerous than almost every Rick in the all dimensions. So the episode itself is about different Ricks and different Mortys on the Citadel after Rick killed the Citadel of Ricks. So it's kind of like this macro examination of this society made up of theoretically just two people, but lots of them. The first guy you see is campaign manager Morty. I'm not sure if he ever says "oh geez," but yeah. So there's a political overtone to this episode, which is unusual in how explicit it is. Simple Rick's wafers, which feed on what the pure happiness of one Rick, who realized that being a scientist wasn't as good as being a father, turning that into a consumable product. That, you know, obviously there's the heavy attack on like consumerism and consumption. You've got like good cop Rick and bad cop Morty, where it's a rare instance of a Morty in charge. There are obvious over and undertones of things like The Wire. This is about society and how it works on the ground. It's not pretty. Does it work? And you know, there's this bit where good Rick is lured into a false sense of sympathy by this vulnerable Morty, who then turns around and stabs him. And this is like The Wire through and through. It's just like this is getting super dark. This is why I have to talk about this episode. And then the creepy Morty, where you've got, it's like a strip club, but it's like just Mortys. And one of these Mortys is getting a dance, and he's got a big beard, and I'm like, this is funny on so many levels, and because it's messed up. This is why this episode is so good, is because it parodies a lot of things, and you know, like, you know, bad Morty is on the take, good Rick is like, nah, we don't need to be that guy, and then you've got like other Morty. What's he called? Big Morty, who's like a drug baron in Morty Town, and it's like, you know, the obvious like societal references to real world, they are super obvious. And then you've got like Factory Rick, who, despite having the exact same IQ as real Rick, the Rickest Rick, he's making these wafers that are, you know, made from the happiness of normal Rick, simple Rick as he's called. And this is about, you know, consumerism and mass production and where we are in society. And then you have Morty of the Morty Party, who makes a heartwarming speech about how, you know, this is all messed up, and, you know, division is wrong. We're all equal, and we all want the same things. So, you know, let's make society better. Again, the societal and political overtones of this episode are huge. Worker Morty. Worker Rick goes nuts, kills his boss, and then he has this moment where he kind of breaks down when he finds Simple Rick, and it's like this is clearly a setup to a payoff, but the payoff is not a joke. It's entirely dramatic. And then this is interesting because you have one Morty talking to another Morty with a third Morty in the background, talking on the TV, and it just really brings up how there's literally two voice actors for this entire 20-minute show. It's just Rick and it's just Morty, and it might, if the same guy plays both characters, that's just crazy. And then so the plot arc for campaigning Morty is that, you know, he gets fired by his boss, he assassinates him when it turns out he's actually not who he appears to be. And again, you know, like the political overtones, a Morty committing a murder because he thinks it's the best way to help everybody. And then you've got this guy bleeding out, and then the camera pans up, and it's like, I'm sure maybe this is a reference to Citizen Kane or something like that. I haven't seen it. I don't know, but it just kind of really hammers home how many layers there are going on in this episode. It this episode really can be a turning point for the series as a whole. So, the worker gets away with it. He looks like he's going to achieve his dreams, become free, but he's just going to be used to replace Simple Rick, who got killed in the ensuing mess. So now he's the wafer flavor. Yeah, right at the end, Morty wins the elections, becomes the new head of the Citadel. He has the old guard, all the Ricks in charge, killed. And he does it while looking in a mirror in a move that is the kind of thing you'd see in a Godfather movie. And again, this is why people are losing their minds over this episode. And then dudes just get voided into space out the airlock. And then Evil Morty's theme tune plays. And the dramatic overtones of this and the brutality of it, and the fact that a lot of these characters are the characters you've just seen their stories from. I mean, this is so multi-layered, and something I hadn't realized until I was like checking for this video. The detective who reveals who Evil Morty is in the background of this shot, and I hadn't noticed because I was looking at the eye patch photographs. But yeah, Evil Morty has closed the loop. No one really knows what he's about. And that's what's so fascinating about where this could go. And, just as a little juxtaposition, some guy put up a YouTube video, Plague of Gripes, spending 25 minutes talking about how Japan doesn't like Tien, the Dragon Ball fan base, American fan base couldn't care less, and the creative team that run Dragon Ball Super, they couldn't care less either. And it's just sad, and Tien's been in the franchise from Dragon Ball, and he's actually maybe arguably a character who could be as cool as Piccolo, and Piccolo has a huge fan base and may even be Akira Toriyama's favorite character. I think he's been recorded to have said that once. So the point with this is, like, when you sabotage one of your own characters because you can't be bothered to do anything with him or write him off for good, it shows a laziness that's a very strong juxtaposition to just this Ricklantis episode, where even when original Rick and Morty right at the start go off to Atlantis, there's like a level of self-referential humor where Rick talks about going on self-contained adventures and stuff. It's like, these little fourth wall jokes they slip through. It's that kind of self-awareness about what's going on, what they're doing, and what the whole thing is that's just so painfully absent from something like Dragon Ball Super, which I was going to talk about a bit more this week. But yeah, just like Japan, it's really not worth any time. So that brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 51, and I'll see you next time.